welcome to the zoo.
Why am I here?
Minions of the Zoo is a lovable ragtag group of misfits that sprang up initially as a fan group to Ranting Monkey, Scribelite, Some Dumb American, and their joint Lords of the Night livestream show. Late night discussions in Discord quickly evolved into streams of their own, with each member bringing something new and different to the table for discussion. Led by the incomparable Reject PPC and the One-Ton Hammer, the group rotates hosts known as Zookeepers.
Hello everybody and welcome to Minions of the Zoo. I am your host for this evening, One-Ton Hammer.
I will be your zookeeper tonight, Reject.
Alright, and welcome to the zoo. I am the Lucky Pop-Tart Inquisitor.
Sanguine.
Skep Tock.
I'm Prospero.
Fat Platypus.
Chaosy.
And I'm Della Hazed.
Regular streamers, they're known as minions. And special guests are known as traveling exhibits. They're on a nightly basis, so that each show has something unique and fresh for our audience. Minions of the Zoo currently streams at 10:30 Central Standard, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Minions of the Zoo Super Sunday Show. I'd like to open this show with thanks to all the fathers out there, especially my own. I saw an image earlier today that asked to name one thing that your father taught you. And, I could think of a good many things, but a few rise to the surface, notably respect, strength, and humility. But most of all, being supportive and faithful to whom you love. And so with that, I want to welcome everybody and open the show with Happy Father's Day. And I love you, Paka. There you go. But with that, I'd like to welcome the panel. We have with us One-Ton Hammer.
Hey!
And Sanguine.
Good evening, all.
Yeah, how you guys doing today?
That intro is just so... It makes me feel happy when I hear Sanguine say hello on the stream, because it's exactly the same thing every time. It's like the most dependable opening in the world. Good evening, all.
Yep.
It's great. It makes me smile. I mean, every time I listen to the show, like, it's part of what I do is I go back and listen to some of the shows after they've been broadcast, like the next day, and I was like, oh, here comes the Sanguine one. I get to listen to Sanguine open this show. It's so fun.
Glad to know my dependability brings a smile to your face.
How you doing, Sanguine?
I'm doing grand. I just had an absolutely fucking amazing dinner.
Oh, shit.
I was able to hit the farmer's market earlier in the week, so I got some lamb chops from there.
Oh, boy.
I had them as about 72-hour dry brine on the lamb chops. So just salt them, sprinkled on some umami powder as well. Let that sit for 72 hours on a cooling rack that's on a tray in my refrigerator, so that it develops somewhat of a pellicose. The salt pulls moisture out, gets the moisture to dissolve the salt, and then that salty liquid is pulled straight into the center of the meat. So you get this perfectly seasoned piece of meat all the way through, rather than traditional seasoning. You get a very salty surface, and then it gets progressively less salty as you cut into the center of the meat. This is just flavor all the way through. So I did that with a mint and pistachio pesto that I made up, as well as I just cooked up some noodles, tossed the noodles in that mint and pistachio pesto as well. Plated that up with a black currant wine, and it was fucking amazing.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
How about you, Hammer? How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. A little tired. I don't know exactly what's going on. I got pretty good sleep last night, but for some reason I'm just kind of like a little sluggish.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what's going on there. I don't think I'm coming down with anything, but you never know. Maybe I'll get the coof. I haven't had the coof yet.
Nor have I.
Yeah. And
Which-
we managed to avoid our winter of death.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Now we
we're
managed to
gonna
do that.
some of the fun.
Yeah, I'm one of 2 people at my job that hasn't caught it as of yet. And at least 2 people have caught 2 different strains of it.
Have you you've heard that tweet from the White House about the winter of death, haven't you, Adam?
Yeah. No, yeah. Joe Biden said that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Joe.
And it was more than just the tweet, because he also said it in a speech.
Yeah.
He did too, yeah. So we bypassed the winter of death, and now we have the summer of no gas and no baby formula.
Yep.
Wonderful. But who wants to talk about politics? I have enough of that in my regular life.
Mm-hmm.
I got a pair of pliers today. Yeah,
What
you
sort?
know, you're getting old when one of the thrills of your life is getting a new tool.
Well, it's always nice.
You got
I don't know.
pliers.
I still feel like I'm on the younger side of things, and I got really chuffed when I got a set of chisels at one point.
Yeah, I have a riding lawnmower. I was sick the last couple of years, and I haven't been able to really do anything. But this is the first year I've been able to get out and do things. One of those things I can do for myself now is cut the grass. I have a riding lawnmower. I got a billion acres I have to cut, and I've been paying people to do it for me. But I was like, all right, I'm strong enough now. I should be able to do this. I went to start the lawnmower, and it was dead. I couldn't do anything with it. So I bought a new battery, and it would spin, but it wouldn't start. And it turned out that the carburetor was killed. So I had to take the carburetor off. Of course, there's fuel line going to the carburetor. I didn't have a pair of vice grips.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to borrow my next door neighbor's. I hate borrowing tools.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like such a, don't take this wrong, but I feel like such a girl when I have to borrow tools from another guy.
Yeah.
Little pride thing there and there. So yeah, I got on Amazon and I ordered a pair of Craftsman vice grips. It just came in. So I'm all giddy about that. Now, of course, I don't need them, but the point being is that the next time I do need them, I'll have them.
Yep.
And they're better than my neighbor's vice grips. That was the most important part.
Nice. The one-upmanship of neighborly dick measuring.
Yes, it's all about the tools. The bigger the tool.
Exactly.
Anyway, how you been, Adam?
Been all right. Kind of a hefty work week. Coworker has been out, and I hope it's nothing too serious. I hope he, recovers from whatever ails him. So I send prayers to him. So other than that, it's been a restful weekend. And then today, obviously it's Father's Day. So I've been relaxing. Not that I'm a father.
Mm-hmm.
Have you called your father today, Sanguine?
Oh yeah, no, he was.
I
he was
have
playing golf,
not.
So shit. Oh, him.
So,
Or either of you?
Yeah, no, yeah.
I have not called my father. I think I've explained the interesting relationship that I've had with my father for the longest period of time.
Issues there?
Oh yeah, it's how there's positive role models and then negative role models?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My father would definitely fall into the camp of negative role models. The role model that you never want to emulate.
Yeah, that's my dad too.
Yeah, apparently his father was much the same, only rather than taking it as a negative role model, he took it as, this is exactly what I should aspire to.
I think my dad would have been a good guy if he hadn't gone to war. If he had avoided going to World War II in Korea and just grew up in was a father kind of deal, that would have been all right. But I think the war really screwed him up.
For me, I don't think that my father gets any such defense. He is one of the ways that I describe him is he's the most Army Marine that you've ever met.
Oh, very jarhead.
So,
my dad was Army, definitely.
Yeah.
Marine Corps has a fairly strong tradition of their officers are supposed to do all the shit that they expect their enlisted to do, or at least be able to do all the shit. So if they show up with their shit rather than telling some grunt to haul their shit someplace, they're supposed to just hump it there themselves. And my father has never been of that mentality. He's been of the mentality of, well, I had children so that children could do work. And I'm an officer, so I can delegate work rather than doing the menial stuff myself.
So making the infantry.
Yeah, he would routinely be the sort that would show up with his bags and then have some poor schmuck carry his bags, to the point where even with family trips, he would stress that my siblings and myself need to make sure that we're able to carry everything that we bring, because we're going to have to carry our stuff. And then mid-trip, he would go, okay, which of you is grabbing my shit?
Oof.
And we'd just be going, really? We have to carry all of our shit? And your shit? Okay. But he did inspire me to start cooking in the first place, mainly by
There you
his
go.
complete inability.
Something good. My dad didn't really teach me much. He was working most of the time to keep the family fed. I don't want to sound like Beverly Hillbillies or anything like that,
Mhm.
but he was we were a lower middle income, so he
Mhm.
had to work, night shifts and stuff like that to make extra money to make sure, because we had a house which was nice, and he was building another house.
Mhm.
So he had to do a lot of work. So I didn't see him that much. The only thing he ever really taught me that I kept with me is he stopped me. We were working on. He was in his spare time, he used to work on televisions to make extra money.
Mhm.
He was he had an EE, and he would stop every once in a while and just talk about things. Usually it was to bitch about work or something like that, but sometimes he'd just turn to me and say, it's important, and then he would say something that usually was pretty important.
Mhm.
And the one that stuck in my head that kind of served me was, what was his words he used to, um, say what you mean, or no, uh, mean what you say and stand by it. But be the first person to admit when you're wrong.
Mhm.
And I think every parent, for most ideas, most parents have some kind of um, philosophy, whether they express it with their child or not. And that was the one that kind of stuck with me. So even though I didn't see the man very much, and even though he was, kind of uh, an army, he was a sergeant. He never was an officer.
Mhm.
He was just infantry in World War II, the whole Ardennes. His platoon was the first platoon to walk into Buchenwald. So
Damn.
he saw some shit.
Yeah.
And then he was a tank commander in Korea. So he's pretty grizzled, pretty if you saw him, you would think that he was like the the brother or some kind of relationship to Clint Eastwood.
Mhm.
That very grizzled look on his face, and he's go ahead, kind of very.
The tanned leather appearance.
Oh yeah, very much that. And
Wait. Could you give us a couple more lines in that?
I was off the top of my head. I was just winging it. There's no lines there. I don't want to do the whole Dirty Harry thing. I'm not very good at it, but he did sound very much like that. That was very much. I mean, I grew up with him. I know how his voice was. He very much was that kind of, eyes half closed from a bright sun and a leathery skin. Very, you can almost see the metal plate and the punch over top of him, kind of deal. He looked very much like and he had the thin neck, gray, scattered black or brown beard, and you know, he like I said, he could have been brothers. He had a look to him, and yeah, so that's. I mean, he wasn't around much, and you know, he had his issues. He was a drinker, but at least he was a good drunk. You know, I think that drunks come in two pieces. Either they make you significantly worse human being or just a happy person. You know, I don't know if there's anything in between those two. You're either okay or you're nasty.
I tend to find that drink amplifies you to some degree.
Oh.
So someone that has a bit of an anger issue, when they drink, that anger issue is amplified. Someone who is jovial and just loves to talk shit, when they get a few drinks in them, they become even more so. Someone that is a bit depressive, they get a few drinks and they are just completely, what's the fucking point of life? They become very Russian.
Yes, and on the opposite end, there's the guys who will have enough drink, and then all of a sudden they have to just start singing everything and anything. Oh, save our soul. Everybody knows we're fall. So I don't know.
Especially if they're Irish, and my dad was Irish.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I'm feeling somewhat called out because the two times that I've been drunk, I've been the Irish uncle drunk.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Have you?
Oh, yeah. I've only been drunk twice in my life, and each time I became the Irish uncle drunk. So I would start just telling stories and belting out random bits of song. I remember both times, and I also confirmed with other people to make sure that I did remember everything. And yeah, I have never been completely blackout. I don't remember shit drunk. And each time that I've been drunk, I've been the Irish uncle drunk.
I've never been drunk. I've been a little buzzed, but that's about it. I mean, I haven't had alcohol since high school, and I'm 60, or will be 60 soon. So, and you know, you go to a party and you want to look cool with the rest of your friends, and beer for me, I enjoy the taste of beer. A lot of people don't. So I'd had 2 beers, maybe, or something like that, maybe 3. But being like the biggest guy in high school, 3 beers was like nothing.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I remember going to a party once, and this is when the album first came out of Fleetwood Mac. The Rumors album came out, and the person who was having the party bought it and was playing it at the party. And I was like, this is really good. I really like this music. And as I was doing that, I'm just drinking beer, not paying attention. I got 3 in me. I was like, uh-oh. I don't feel quite like I do normally. Something must be going on here. I think I'm starting to feel a little tipsy here. So I'll just put this down. And I that was the last time high school. I mean, I was 22, 20. No, I was younger than that. I was like 19, 18, 19. No, I graduated when I was 17, so I had to be 16. Now I think about it, doing the math backwards.
So it's safe to say there's some years between, right?
16 to 60, yeah, it's been a couple of years between.
Okay.
But
for me, like I said, I've only been drunk twice. Both times off of way more than any standard person should ever consume. Because the first time I was drunk was on a full stomach, and I got a fair bit over 52 drinks in me in about an hour and a half.
Geez, how can your stomach... What did you do? Sip them or something? I mean, how could you...
So, what I did was, that time, it was about 10 shoes of sake and soju during dinner. Then an entire 750 milliliter bottle of Johnny Walker Black. So a standard whiskey bottle. Then I also had several shots of various other drinks, including at least 3 more shoes of sake, shot or two of vodka, a shot or two of tequila, a shot or two
Jeez.
of rum, a shot or two of like 3 or 4 different types of alcohol, because a bunch of us had hit the liquor store, each bought our preferred alcohols.
Yeah.
And you know how it is with a group of friends. You end up trying to share around. I found out I was the only person that liked whiskey, so I drank my bottle of whiskey by myself.
Oh no.
But everyone else was like, hey, want a tickle of this? Want a tickle of that? And why, yes. Yes, I will take the free booze that you're offering me. So, downed all of those. After all the hard alcohol, decided I still wasn't done drinking yet. So, my friends and I tottered off to the convenience store. This was in Japan. And most Japanese beers in convenience stores are sold at like a minimum the 22-ounce plus cans. So I grabbed 5 beers, and I downed all 5 of those.
Jeez.
Damn.
So
How quick?
Oh, like I said, from start to finish of the drinking, probably about an hour and a half.
Yo.
My stomach's just not that big. I could not drink all that.
And yeah, I'd probably have to piss like 20 minutes in 20 minutes in that.
Yeah, the average stomach capacity is about 1 gallon to 2 gallons. Mine's probably towards the 2-gallon range. And that
Yeah,
was...
food too.
Oh, yeah. We had gone out, and that night, if I remember correctly, that was the night that we got okonomiyaki, which is the Japanese cabbage pancake thing. Really goddamn good. Amazing food.
Any deleterious effects from all of this?
Oh, I woke up perfectly fine the next day. I got a bit ill that night, but next day, perfectly fine. And then the other time that I got drunk was on an empty stomach. And in about 45 minutes, I had probably about 36 drinks in me.
Jeez, dude.
And that was, one of my friends was mixing. We were at a convention, just having fun, bullshitting in a room. And he was mixing the drinks. I did not know this at the time, but he was mixing all my drinks as, like, quadruples.
Oh, jeez.
What? On purpose?
So, he was just mixing drinks, and he poured a bit heavy, and he went, Sanguine's a ridiculous tolerance, because he had mixed drinks before. He was not anticipating that I would down 9 drinks that he had made, each a quadruple, in about that, like I said, 45 minutes. So, I was both times just under or just about at the LD50. Which, are you guys familiar with what the LD50 is?
Wait.
No idea.
Yeah, what is LD50?
So LD50 is a chemistry/biology term. It is the dose of any substance that if you got a whole host of organisms, if you gave them this dose, 50% would die. So the LD50 of alcohol is in like the 40s, where if you have any number of people, if you gave them 40-some drinks within a certain period of time, 50% of the population would end up dying.
Damn.
I am such a Boy Scout. Never been drunk, never smoked.
Yeah, I've never smoked. I've been drunk twice, and I didn't drink anywhere where it wasn't legal for me at the time that I was drinking. So in the US, my first drink that I had in the US, well, actually, there was one time, and that was because one of the people that I was hanging out with was absolutely shit-faced, and they still had a drink, so I had the option of they would continue trying to drink this drink when they were in no state to do so, or I could grab their drink, down it in one, I wouldn't feel a fucking thing, they would no longer have the drink. So I chose that option when I was like, I want to say probably 18, 19. But other than that one drink, I didn't drink in the US until I hit 21. And I drank in other countries when it was legal. So, like, I drank in China. Because effectively, if you can see over the counter, you can drink in China.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You can drink in China.
Yep. They don't really
Nice.
govern the drinking age, at least not of foreign visitors.
Maybe the same is true of France, isn't it? They really don't. Kids can have wine at the table when they're like 7.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. And in the UK, it's 16 for drinking, I believe. Most other countries, it's fairly young, and then they do kind of make somewhat of a distinction between you're drinking beer or wine versus you're drinking hard alcohol. But a lot of countries don't really give a shit. So when I was visiting, like I said, China in college when I was 19, I drank a fair bit in China, but it was legal there, fine, and I didn't really drink at all stateside until 21.
There are times where I could have gone for a beer. I mean, it's middle of summer. It's 90 degrees outside. You've just done cutting the grass.
Oh yeah.
Sit down,
And
enjoy a
then you
nice
want
cold beer.
after
Oof.
that? No way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Or
I've
cider.
never been,
Ciders are really good in summer.
Well, I've never been like, I want to have a alcoholic beverage after a strenuous work or something, or even like mildly strenuous. Like I don't know. Like beer has never been a refreshing thing for me. It's always been a like, oh shit, I can relax now, I guess, and not have to work. But if it's, after I've done something, it's like, yeah, I don't want to drink a beer. I want to drink water or some fucking, like, that's just odd to me. But, I get it. Yeah.
See, certain beers and, like I said, ciders kind of occupy that same realm as, like, a nice lemonade.
Yeah.
Ben.
Where it's a hot day, you're kind of overheated, you get one of those, and it just makes your stomach happy.
Well, hell, I'll even put in like a sweet tea. You know how somebody's like, "Oh man, I can go for a sweet." It's like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, no, thank you. But I guess I have shitty, picky tastes, so
You're not wrong. It's because
Oh
the
my
people
God.
who make sweet
Whoa.
tea make sweet tea too sweet.
Is that a Jen?
Yeah,
Jen.
I decided to join you. You invited me, and I was like, well, I visited Pat because he forgot about his stream, or actually, I think he didn't check when he posted his stream because he misstated it.
Oh.
And then I was like, you know what? I should hang out with Jack because I really haven't hung out with him in a long time, and he visits us all the time.
Oh yeah.
And then I was like, shit, I haven't even mentioned to Adam that I might stop by. And you start in a minute. What? Minute 30, right?
No, it's I mean, we're gonna have to cancel the show because Jen joined. I had initially started the show saying that it's a men's only thing since it's Father's Day. So I mean, I guess he just ruined everything.
I can tell you about what my dad's doing because he's doing yeah, he's having probably the best thing a dad could do. He's gone off to go fishing. He's like, fuck the rest of y'all, I'm going fishing.
Hey, yeah, my dad went out golfing today, so
Yep.
It's
Same idea.
Let them enjoy their day. No, hey, of course you're always welcome, Jen, and I'm. This is a pleasure that you joined. I'm surprised. Shit, what were we talking about?
We're talking about drunks.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
talking about drinking.
Anything you want to share, Jen?
In terms of drinking, I actually don't drink a lot. I'm more of a pothead.
Oh.
Yep.
I'm such a Boy Scout.
Right.
Yeah, I've never seen the appeal of let me grab a plant, light one end of it on fire, and suck on the other.
Whoa, hey, come on now.
Yeah, I started off with cigarettes, so to be honest, the pot wasn't really too far off. It's just I actually get more from pot. In all honesty, the pot makes more sense than the cigarette.
I was in a we're on a puritanical tirade this episode. 1680. 1680 indeed. Yes.
Like I said, I've never indulged in the herbal remedies, shall we say.
Or is it 1780? Oh shit. Is it 1780? I can't see.
1680.
I have so many fucking windows open, and I'm trying to.
It's
fight
1680.
foot soldiers. Okay, yeah, it's 1680. In 1680 and 92, this is what happened to you. Oh.
But I definitely enjoy a good drink, and Adam has had the
those are scary
dubious
drinks.
honor of drinking with me in the
Use
past
caution.
a couple times.
Make sure you have a sober buddy hanging out with you to keep an eye on you.
Never try to keep pace with me.
Yeah, and that's the other rule. And don't get wet after midnight or something like that, I think. Damn it.
Yeah, I try to make a point every time that I'm drinking with someone, especially the first time. Whatever you do, do not try to keep pace with me. Just ignore what I'm drinking. Drink when you want to drink. Don't drink because I just poured myself another drink.
I will say though, if he's going by cooking habits, damn it, I jumped right in. If he's going by cooking habits, 100%, you go with what Sanguine says because they turn out tasty, very tasty.
Cooking, you can absolutely trust me on. It's just don't. You can eat whatever I eat. You'll be very happy. Just don't drink whatever I drink.
Yeah. There's that.
I have this marinade for you to try.
A marinade?
I tried to get Satsu to try it. It's my grandmother said she made up herself, but she didn't get out of a book.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, my grandmother lived in Czechoslovakia. And she brought all of the things that her mom taught her from cooking there. So this is not an American recipe that came off of a website or something like that. This is something that she did it herself. And anyway, it's a marinade that she used to use it for T-bones, but I imagine it could work with a lot of different cuts. But it was I don't have it in front of me, but I know that some of its components were vinegar, brown sugar, and onion.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Some of the ingredients. So I'll have to dig it up, and next time you get a cut of beef and you're looking to experiment a little bit, give it a try and let me know what you think.
Absolutely.
My mom has gotten to the age now where she's not capable of making meals because she can't remember anything and she'll forget timing and put the wrong amounts in because she can't see all that kind of stuff. So I can't, unless I make it myself, and I'm no cook. Unless I make it myself, I probably won't ever be able to have it again. But least I could do is share it with somebody who's a foodie to see what they think, and maybe they can continue to,
preserve the recipe.
Yeah.
I'm all down for that, dude.
That reminds me of when I said earlier that my father inspired me to start cooking. I think you took that as my father taught me how to cook. No. Quite the opposite. My father inspired me to start cooking because I can no longer consume most standard pizzas because I had Domino's pizza every night for dinner for a month. Breakfast was frozen Domino's pizza, and lunch was reheated Domino's pizza.
Yeah.
So every night he would order a new pizza, and then we would consume the pizza throughout the day because the man has quite literally ruined tea kettles by boiling water wrong.
Oh my god. Dude, okay, so I totally understand. Ugh. Oh, and it ruined pizza for you.
Yeah, I'm just like, does he know that there's other places where you can get food for kids? Like Chinese food, burgers, chicken.
Oh, it's worse than that. he wouldn't even allow me to order like chicken wings from the pizza place. It was just pizza.
That's really sad because they were the same price for. And it came with veggies too, veggies and dip usually.
Yep. So
something.
I taught myself how to cook. Before that, I didn't need to know how to cook because when my mom was in country, this was during OIF. Both parents were Marines. At one point, my mom was activated and my father wasn't. So mom was overseas. Father was taking care of me. When my mom was in country, didn't need to know how to cook. My mom is a fantastic cook. Made delicious food. Then, at one point, both my parents were activated, and my grandma came down to take care of us. And, again, grandma, fantastic cook. Didn't need to know how to cook. I had fantastic food every night. I was good to go. And then it reached the point where my father was back in country. So he was staying with us. My gran had returned home for that, and that was the month of Domino's Pizza. And I went, "You're taking me to a grocery store. I'm going to figure this shit out." And that was what started my cooking journey.
Oh, shit.
Oh. How's the game going?
Pretty good.
Which character are you?
I'm gonna be Michelangelo. Oh.
Ah, okay. I was curious if you were Splinter, Leonardo, or Raphael.
I'm watching the show as you're playing, and of course we're 12 seconds behind, and the first thing Sanguine mentions is pizza, and I'm looking at the screen, and you're walking up a patio, and right on the ground is a hot pizza.
Yep.
I was like, well, that was fortuitous. What timing?
Oh shit, we got a full house here. I don't think
I've never met a... Good.
Oh, I was gonna say I haven't played a 6-player match before. I'm trying to get this going. But as you were saying, Hammer?
I never met a pizza I didn't like.
Oh. What about... Oh, wait. Okay, no.
There's a bunch of different pizza places around here, and they all have a very specific background. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but all their pizzas have a very specific taste. There's a place called Januzzi's. Their pizza is very sweet. They use a lot of sugar and stuff in their pizzas.
I was just about to say, what about like sweets on a pizza, like marshmallows or candies or something like that? I don't know if I can do that.
As far as toppings, I'm a purist in a lot of sense when it comes to food. Like, I like vanilla ice cream with nothing in it, just vanilla ice cream by itself. I like a pizza with just cheese, dough, and sauce. That's it. I don't like. I mean, I could certainly eat the other ones. If someone were to go to a pizza place and buy like a Hawaiian pizza, I could eat it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I would rather have plain. When it comes to my foods, I just rather have plain, and I can't handle anything spicy. But as far as just how pizzas taste, there's a place not far from me called Joe's Grotto Pizza, and I think I've mentioned before, their ovens are from Italy. All their food is imported from Italy, and it's cooked here in the States, obviously. And their taste is very cheesy because they use a special 3-cheese blend that's uncommon. And they don't really tell you anything about the cheese. They just say one's a provolone, one's a mozzarella, and one's a cheddar, I think. And they don't tell you what amount of each, but it's a very unique taste. And even their logo is something along that line. So the motto for the company is the legendary taste. That's their motto, kind of deal. And then of course there's Pizza Huts and Domino's, and I think in town there's a what's the one with the little emperor guy? Caesar's? Little Caesars?
Little Caesars.
Yeah, pizza. That guy. And then there's a place, everyone has one of these places. The place is called Tony's. Everybody says Tony's, but it's actually called Anthony's. I don't know why they wanted to be specifically more formal, but it's Anthony's, and it is very American Italian pizza, like the kind of pizza that you go to any place that's called Tony's, it all tastes exactly the same.
Yeah, it's always like a Tony's or Sal's or
Yeah, something very
Like a
traditionally
Mario's or
Italian
something like
sounding. Yeah.
I think that's a joke for like if you go to New York, there's always gonna be like a Tony's or Mario's or Luigi's
Right.
or something like that, you know. And it's always
The only pizza I
outfit.
haven't had is the pizza around you.
What, Chicago?
Chicago. I've never had a Chicago pizza ever.
It's thick.
Yeah,
Thick.
it is thick.
I like the way you said that.
Thick.
It's thick.
She knows what's
it's a
up.
tomato and cheese casserole, and it's rather lovely.
Never had
I
one.
think it could be,
Yeah,
but I
you
think
gotta
that
order
the
it with
stores
the
up here use low quality meat, and I mean that.
What?
Because I used to slice that shit for a living, and like the stuff that they use up here is like basically the Liorner sausage version of pepperoni and salami, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that stuff isn't the worst, but like in terms of like a pizza quality, I'm like, nah, I'd like it with good Italian sausage, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've always wanted to try a good deep dish Chicago pizza. I never had the opportunity. There's a place called Uno's in Virginia, near my house in Virginia, that had it, but I never got a chance to try it there.
Uno's is pretty good.
So maybe one day I'll visit Chicago, say hello to you and Quiz, and we'll hang out for a while, and I'll get my first exposure to a real true Chicago deep dish pizza. That would be fantastic. I can't eat as much as I used to. When I was younger, I can eat a large all by myself. Now if I can stuff 2 slices down my throat, it's amazing.
Oh, get out of here, dude. That's one of the things that I kind of want to do. It's order a giant pizza or order a giant burger. You know, where you have to have like 8 or 9 people to fucking polish off.
Yeah.
Because it's just one of those things where it's like, come on, man, who could eat these things by themselves? There's no way. You know,
That just reminds me of. You guys all remember Fuddruckers, right?
Oh, yeah.
Their 2-pound burger.
Mm-hmm.
2-pound burger.
Yeah. When I was in high school, or it was either high school or just before high school, I gave that a go and ended up on their wall.
I always liked Fuddruckers because they had all these exotic burgers. They had like
The ostrich.
ostrich,
Yep.
yeah, and bison and all these kind of like. I tried them all. I loved them. I didn't think I ever ran into a burger I didn't like either.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just making a coffee. Before I forget, and I sit there sad.
But yeah, I got on their wall for the 2-pound burger because I was playing. Yeah, it had to be high school at the time. I was playing football and playing football at the time. Saw that, went, I'm going to eat this thing. I'm going to consume it whole. It will be amazing. And I did. There's very few things that a hungry high school lineman can't consume.
You were a lineman too?
Yeah.
Did you play all 4 years in high school?
I played from 1st grade to 12th grade.
Yeah, it would include all 4 years in high school.
Yep.
We're not going
I
to
was a
discuss heights again.
I was a defensive left lineman, defensive lineman, left side.
In the course of playing, I played every line position.
I was in the left. The only time I ever played anything else, I used to play offense, Iron Man, because we would be short sometimes. But I was always a defensive lineman. I was the guy. I was. What was that movie? With what was his name? It had Sandra Bullock in it.
Are you talking the radio?
Yeah.
No, it's a movie on on television that was obviously in the theaters. But
I'm saying the movie I think was radio.
It was the movie was it was the life of Michael Orr, who was a defensive lineman, I think, for the Raiders or the Giants or somebody. I can't remember what team he was with. But the blind side. That's what it was called.
Oh, blindside. Okay.
Yeah, the blind side, and that's the same position I used to play until I dominated. See, I was as big as I am now when I was in high school. I was ninth grade. I
Yep.
was 6'2", 185.
Mm-hmm.
And I was bigger than everybody. And coming into high school, ninth grade, everyone's still going through puberty. But my time through school was much different than a lot of people. And I was big and developed, and I was lifting and all that kind of stuff. I was much bigger than everybody else. So for 2 years, no one ever got close to our quarterback. They would never ever get close. I'd put one guy and I mean, double team. I had two people coming at me, put them both down. It was just so easy because I was so much bigger. It's not like I had any real talent. I wasn't any better than anybody else. It's just that I leaned on my athleticism and my size. And then a team that was not far, that was kind of our sister school, we played them, and one of the guys cross-cut me and broke my left knee. And that was the end of my football career.
You have a very similar football career to me
Ooh.
because in ninth grade, I was playing football, and I was also someone that got big early. And I did have a fair bit of athleticism at the time. I was fairly skilled at the position because, like I said, I played since fucking first grade. You learn shit.
Yeah, you did.
And the reason why I have a bad knee now is because in ninth grade, I got chop blocked
Yeah,
3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And you played football, you know, chop block either right below the knee or right above the knee. Sure
Wait a
as
minute.
shit, never on the knee. And fuck you if you ever do it on the side of the knee.
Yeah.
I had a chop block on the knee at a 45-degree angle from center.
What did it do?
First person hit my knee hard enough they dislocated their shoulder through their shoulder pads.
Oh, Jesus.
I continued moving.
Oh, yeah.
His buddy hit my knee, same exact spot, a split second after the first guy went down. He didn't hit it as hard to start, but then started trying to drive my knee like a football sled. Hyperextended it left to right and front to back. So it was...
You can't see me, but I'm holding on to my knee right now.
Yep. So it was bowed in and backwards as this guy kept on trying to drive my knee. And it was at a point where I couldn't just collapse my leg. I couldn't go down because it's bending the wrong way by a substantial degree. Right. It hasn't completely given away. It hasn't broken. So I end up having to punch down between the guy's shoulder pads, driving his shoulder just below my knee. And then I have to punch the back of my knee with my other hand.
Man, don't talk anymore. I can't handle it.
Taking my leg out entirely.
I'm squeamish.
Just folding it. I ended up with a 74% tear of the ACL. No broken bone. It should have shattered my knee. I'm lucky. I'm durable. Didn't break. Just hurt like hell.
Yeah, I broke my kneecap.
Yep. For me, it was the 74% tear. So, of course, I go down due to this. I start trying to get up. One of my teammates comes running over, tells me to stay the fuck down because they saw what happened. I lay down again. I get bored of laying down. I start to get up. Same teammate runs over, grabs my helmet, and forces my head back down into the ground.
Yeah, don't get up.
And just holds me there until the coaches and trainer get out to see me. The trainer is able to confirm that my knee didn't break, but says that there's probably a hell of a lot of soft tissue damage, and I'm probably out for the game.
Game?
At the very least, they were saying...
That kind of thing, you're out for the season, man.
Should have been... So, if my knee had shattered, absolutely out for the season. With the damage, probably should have been out for the season. With my insanity and obnoxiousness, I was out for 4 plays.
Oh, Jesus, dude.
Went back in, played the rest of the season with that knee. I ended up getting taken out later that game because I got ear holed, which you know what ear holing is, but for anyone that doesn't know what ear holing is, the hardest part of the head is the forehead. The weakest part of the head is just above your ear.
Yeah.
And yep, about where your temple is. The weakest part, or the strongest part of the helmet, is the front of the helmet. The weakest part of the helmet is the ear hole, which again is right where the softest part of the skull is. So getting ear holed means that someone headbutted the side of my helmet where the ear hole is. So it's the strongest part of their helmet and the strongest part of their head versus the weakest part of my helmet and the weakest part of my head. They knocked themselves the fuck out on the side of my head. I kept moving, but I realized that I was seeing double when I hit two number 21s at slightly different angles. So, got my helmet, went off, took off my helmet, and the side of my head immediately starts swelling.
Yeah.
To the point where I can't get my helmet back on my head, and I got yelled at by the trainer and coach when I went to the only person who had a larger helmet than I did that year, and started to tell them to give me their fucking helmet. So I was out for the rest of the game when that happened. But I played for the rest of the year on that 74% ACL. Turns out the surgery limit, where it is automatically, you have this much ACL damage, you're going to surgery, is 75%. So I never went to surgery, and I just kept playing for 3 more years.
I have a scar on my knee from the operation that fixed my kneecap.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
about the size of a dime. Back then, they couldn't do it quite as laparoscopic as they can now.
Yep.
But yeah, that's the only real injury I have on me. Even though I've been smashed around and beaten up pretty good, that's the only one. Did you ever play any kind of sports in high school, Adam?
In high school, no. I just we had a choice between doing like regular gym type stuff or weightlifting, and so I just kind of went with the weightlifting.
Good choice.
Yeah, so I just so my gym class in high school was, just making sure you hit the rounds, and in terms of sports, no. If there was a hockey, I would have played hockey. I played floor hockey at a local area, but it wasn't anything like I was registered or signed.
Hockey can be violent, man. I don't know if I ever. Ooh, more pizza. I don't know if I'd ever really want to play hockey. It just seems, for as much as I play football and all that kind of stuff, I'm kind of scared of hockey.
Hockey's fun.
See, I played football in, like I said, 1st grade to 12th grade, and then I ended up having to stop playing football because my 12th grade year, I sent my arm through 2 muscles, ripping them entirely off the bone in my right shoulder. I had to get those re-anchored later, but that took me out of football for the year. So, took about 6, maybe 7 months for me to recover after surgery, which was really nice considering when the surgeon was originally talking to me, he said that it would be a bare minimum of a year if I ever recovered full strength. But I was able to get it back, like I said, in that 6-7 month range. Then I joined up on the intramural rugby team for my school and had a lot of fun with rugby.
Well, my injury to football turned me into a computer geek. So ended up serving me. But how about you, Jen? Did you ever play any kind of sports in high school?
Nope. I was a go home club girl.
Go home club. All right, school's off. Bye.
See, I was the person that was varsity football as well as varsity chess.
Oh, nice.
That's interesting. You were football and chess. I was football and ROTC.
Oh shit.
That was football and third board in the chess team. Which, are you guys familiar with how chess is ranked?
No.
Sort of. But
So-
why don't you explain it for our guests?
When it comes to chess, if someone's talking about playing chess on a team, they'll talk about what board they are. So, first board is the best player on the team. That way they go against the best player for any other team that you go against. Second board, second best. Third board, third best, so on and so forth. And most places go up to about sixth board. And when I first joined, the people at the chess club, that was the chess team as well, were going, okay, you're football player. Okay, we'll have this competition, see where you land. You could be third board, but
Look
You're
how a
varsity
football player is going to
football.
try to play chess. Isn't that sweet?
yeah,
Right?
it was your football player. Okay, we're going to make you fourth board. And then I just kept on winning every game that they put me in as fourth board and kept on beating the third board player for our team in tournaments. So they went, okay, you're third board now. Fuck it.
Get promoted.
Yep.
I know the moves, but I don't know how to play chess at all. Like I know
You don't play
how
chess,
things move, but I don't know the strategy of the game to win a game.
Mm-hmm. I had a very chaotic strategy when it came to shit. So most of my wins were a son of a bitch, how? And that would be how I win. They would just be confused as I move things around in seemingly fucking weird ways, but I've set up like 3 different checkmates, so it's just a matter of, am I going to go for the more standard one, or fuck it, pawn checkmate, let's fucking go.
Will they move into that spot so that they can fall into the trap?
Oh yeah, it was like, well, the chess coach for the school came up with a really interesting version of chess as a means of trying to get people to think more outside the box,
Oh, you can't
which was dubbed rotating chess. So you would have the game start, and one person would start as white, one person would start as black, as per usual. Then you would take your turn, you'd rotate the board 90 degrees. You would take your turn as whatever you were the previous turn. You'd rotate the board 90 degrees. You've now swapped colors. So every 2 turns, you would swap whether you were black or white.
Wow.
Which meant that you would have to set up checkmates that were not obvious, and you would have to try to keep the 2 sides fairly even. Because if you really dominated while you were white and you were sacrificing while you were black, well, that might end up paying off for you, because you might be white at the right time and then black at the right time. But what could happen is you could end up being black, that you've just spent your time smashing the ever-living shit out of, making sure that it won't be able to win, at the point where you need to make your winning move. So in rotating chess, you would try to keep everything balanced and have like 4 or 5 different very heavily masked checkmates. So it became a game of trying to read what checkmates your opponent has set up. Can you use any of those? And what checkmates you had set up, and if you can use any of those.
Damn.
It was a hell of a lot of fun.
I was watching YouTube videos last couple days of this girl who's a chess player, and she goes to New York where they have all these people who are just playing in the park.
Oh yeah,
And
the
they're-
sharks in the park.
Yeah, and she would go up and she's all feminine and pretty, and she's got a little crop top and her stonewashed jeans that are ripped, and hi, how you doing? She's just all bubbly and like that, and she's like grandmaster level chess player. She beats every one of them. It's funny to watch. I used to play a lot with my mom. You know, she's moving pieces, and the guy's like, "Wait a minute, you're not. You know how to play." Oh, my mom taught me a lot. You know, like she's trying to make it sound so informal. You know, but she ends up like all of her videos. She never loses.
Yeah, that's like one of the games that I lost by the most devastating manner was one of my football coaches. He apparently had grown up in New York, right next to one of those parks, and was constantly playing against functionally grandmasters, had learned how to shark in chess, and was at that grandmaster or just about grandmaster level as well.
Mm.
And he was just playing it up like, oh, you have a chessboard. Want to dick around? And yeah, just absolutely stomped the shit out of me.
Wanna just play around a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like going to a pool hall and the guy says, "Hey, you ever played 9-ball before?"
Yeah.
No,
I'm not really all that familiar with it, but it looks fun. Mind if I play?
Mind if I run the table?
Yeah.
Oh, yo.
So glad I'm hanging out with you guys. I hate my country. So just so you guys know, I don't doubt over the next couple of well, maybe week, at least until the 1st, because that's Canada Day for us. Just so you guys in America know, we have a Canada Day. It's 3 days before yours, the better one. But there's going to be another freedom convoy. In fact, they're already staging up for it. So Ottawa is very, 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 very bitter. Well, not all of Ottawa. The part of Ottawa that showed the world how Karen they are, because apparently inflatable castles and feeding the homeless and dang it, honking horns. How dare they? Only this time they have geese.
Wait, what? They're tossing geese at them?
No, geese are just. Geese will always be where you don't want them to, especially the Canadian ones.
Oh,
and
yeah.
if you ask them to move, they will look at you and hiss.
Although I've seen some videos of people just walking up and grabbing them by the neck.
Yeah. They're
All you can
fairly
do.
docile, to be honest.
I mean, I would.
They're so used to people feeding them like they're not supposed to. They're fairly docile.
Wait, what do you?
It's just the babies you gotta watch out for. If they got babies, they don't give a shit. They're like, fuck you, man, I'll kill you.
What do they eat?
Grass and bugs. And fish. And dogs.
Pretty much anything that you'll get them.
And bugs.
Wait, if I give them string cheese, would they eat string cheese?
Probably.
They'll probably give a go.
I mean, it's not probably good for them, but yeah, I can see them do it.
Oh my god, I'm gonna feed these geese string cheese tomorrow.
I highly recommend that you avoid bread, though. It's one of those things where a lot of people feed, like, ducks and geese bread, but it's kind of like feeding your
shits.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you feed them something with, like, a shit ton of seeds in it, maybe, I don't know. I just wouldn't.
I mean, as long as they're not shitting on my car, I don't.
Oh, they will. They'll find your car. They won't.
They'll track
But
you
I think-
down.
What is it, like the elephant? The elephant who killed the lady and then trampled on her grave and then stomped her village and brought his homies
Yeah, it's
together, strong.
the thing that still makes me go, what the fuck, is when people say, well, the Freedom Convoy was violent, much like how people say the BLM protests were violent. And then the acts of violence that they bring up as, see, the Freedom Convoy did bad shit, is like, the Freedom Convoy saw someone with a mask and started going, really? You're wearing a mask? Why the fuck are you wearing a mask?
Hold on.
And that heckling
Hold
is
on.
counted as violence.
I think we can attribute it to what we experienced early this morning when I sounded the call to arms this morning, and we had a resident Kanukistani who was saying, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm trying to get some sleep. Yeah. Well, there you go, sir. Hong Kong.
Like, legit, that part I get. But here's the thing, though. Blind Girl lives 10 minutes away from where that was going on.
Oh.
And she said they had a time limit. Like, you could literally hear it in her background because she always has her sound on. Like, she's blind. So she just has her speakers on. You can hear her background. You can hear her when she goes to the bathroom. You're welcome.
Ew. Ew.
She can't do anything about it. It's like going from her headset to, it's just... She's made it easier for herself to function.
Need someone to set up a noise gate for her, so if she's not talking directly in the microphone, you can't hear anything else. Very easy to do.
Yeah.
Do you think there's something that you could put on the walls that would dampen the audio, like outside
There
audio?
is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can get
Soundproofing.
Soundproofing shit, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like egg cartons, but it's black foam.
Mm-hmm.
Egg curtains? Oh.
Yeah, and if you don't want to pay for the actual soundproofing, you can just strap egg cartons. It won't work as well, but it will do a fair turn.
It's an irregular surface, is what does it.
Yeah.
Oh, so just to break up the vibration.
It keeps the sounds from being transferred in a straight line.
Yep.
It gets scattered.
And it causes a shit ton of wave interference.
Do you have to cover the whole wall though, or is it just like just the base area?
You can cover as much as you want. So you can do a small section. Like a lot of streamers will have soundproofing right behind where they stream and right behind where their microphone is. That way, when they speak and their voice hits the wall, it doesn't come straight back into the mic. It ends up getting dispersed.
It's also the hypocrisy, because since the time of that protest, there's been other protests.
Yep.
The problem is it's not a protest they're in favor of, and that's all they really care about. This is the capital city of my country. As far as I'm concerned, everybody in my country does pay taxes towards it. I don't know how it is for the U.S., but like, do you guys all pay for Washington? Like the capital part? Like
we get bled fucking dry.
Yeah.
Right? So like, you would think that as long as you're not going into the building, you're not, doing illegal shit, you're allowed to protest in front of it. Be fucking loud.
Speaking of, did you guys hear about what if there was any sort of consistency the Democrats would have to be saying was attempted insurrection?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
It's built right into our First Amendment. The right to redress your government for grievances.
Yep,
yeah.
But they've been saying that Jan 6 was an insurrection, and the charges for January 6 have been trespassing on the Congress when they weren't supposed to be in the building. They weren't allowed to be in the building and all that shit. So there was actually a group of left-wing demonstrators, and I think it's 7 people from the Colbert or from Colbert Show, as well as a number of others, were in Congress after hours without a guide, without any sort of documentation saying that they were permitted to be there. And they were going around banging and trying to get into various congressional offices. They claimed that they were there to film a skit, when that seems rather strange. Why are you trying to get into offices if you're trying to film?
You have to get permission to do that. They should know better.
You have to get permission. And also, they figured out how these people got into the building.
Adam Schiff.
Exactly. You got it in one hammer. it was Schiff had let them into the building.
Yeah, especially
So
because
if-
some of those doors were magnetically locked, so it's not something that you can really just flip the switch and open. Well,
Yeah.
I guess you can actually flip the switch
In
and open.
order for them to get into the building, they had to have been brought into the building, or they would have had to break into it by other means. And turns out that Adam Schiff had let them into the building, and then had just allowed them to wander of their own accord. And they proceeded, like I said, trying to get into offices, pounding on various office doors, and doing various other things. Which, again, if there's any sort of consistency, if the trespassing and illegal entrance counts as treason, then this case of trespassing and illegal entrance would count as treason and attempted coup as well. So, did Adam Schiff just attempt to launch a coup?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it bullshit the first time and therefore it's bullshit this time? And you have to actually consider what was being done and why it was being done. Then you would
The
have
question
more
is
clarity.
legality, because I mean, what is the name of the capital? What's the famous words about describing the capital? The famous words are, "It's the people's house."
Yep.
If it's truly the people's house, then people should have a right to go in their own house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but for some reason,
If I'm not
It's
politically
not.
aligned with you, I'm not. And that's what it's turned into. Because Justin pulled that up here. He has tried to pull the whole, well, the convoy was an illegal protest. I'm like, I'm sorry, when did we have to register them with you?
But
Because
again,
if we had to register them with you, we would be told no all the time.
it's
Simply by the fact that we don't necessarily like you.
And
My
you can go
issue
in
could
anywhere.
be something unrelated to you, and I could just be protesting something. But if I don't like you, I'm not allowed to protest.
But it's
And
also what you're seeing and what they're telling you is
Mhm.
when, like what you saw with the truckers out in Ottawa, right?
Mhm.
They were literally just hanging out
Mhm.
and at most honking their horns.
Mhm.
And
And
it's the same-
sometimes being a bit of a dick to someone.
well, yeah, there were instances of that, and the same thing with January
humans are going to
6th.
be humans, you know.
Exactly. And that's the part that pissed me off, because they kept on trying to say, see, they were just as violent. And I went, your evidence of them being just as violent is in the incident that you're saying they were just as violent as, people were killed.
Well,
In the incidents that you're saying are equal to the people being killed, people were called assholes.
yeah, well, even at that, like they were responding to aggression pushed on them, like in
Mhm.
January 6th. A lot you see the provocation where they were tossing the pepper spray and the flashbangs at the crowd, and then the crowd responded, and then they sit there and say, oh well, the crowd was aggressive toward. It's like, no, they were responding to the aggression that was presented to them. I mean, that's
Right.
100. You have, if you can't
Mhm.
recognize that, if you can't acknowledge that, then we're not even at the same playing field. We're not arguing with the same footing. And that at that point, you can see you're either a useful idiot, a useful tool, or you're pushing for an agenda. And a lot of these people are pushing for an agenda. That's why they're pushing a hardcore that, oh yeah, it was an insurrection. Well, the police opened the doors. These people were standing in line. This wasn't some like, and they didn't even if you were going to go with what they were trying to do, they didn't even accomplish what they were trying to do, which was stall the electoral process.
Well,
Congress
so
still went
when-
through with what they did. So
When you're considering that, you would also have to take into account, has this been done before?
yes, with
You guys
fucking-
remember the Kavanaugh hearings,
yes,
right?
Nobody
So
said
part
anything
of,
about that. That's what
part of-
pisses me off about this. Like, oh my god.
And the several times that various black identitarian groups have stormed the Capitol as well.
Well, that's
Well,
not
part
even.
of the outrage up here is that the media didn't have a chance to control the narrative. because there were too many people on the ground with their phones out. There were too many people with sorry, I'm forgetting my technology, but the little helicopter thingy
The
Drones.
Yeah.
drones, thank you. Like there were several drones out there. Like there was to the point where they actually had a lockdown on the drones. Like they had the War Act going long before they enacted it. I'm just saying they were silencing people long before they had the right to. And I'm saying this as somebody who was watching people from a friend's phone, from multiple friends' phones, from people streaming to large quantities of people, and they would get shut down like every 10 to 15 minutes. They'd get a strike.
Yeah.
And you would see what was going on, and those fights really didn't start until well into it. And those guys have been living in campers, their trucks, effectively, for about 10 days. And up to that point, they were slowly having their amenities cut off from them. It was due to the kindness of the public coming down to help them out. Like, hey, come over here, we'll get you a shower. Come over here, we'll get you some food. Come over here, we'll let you heat up and somewhere actually warm, you know? Because truckers have really good spaces in some of those big trucks, but not everybody who was down there was living like that. Some people were just in like regular 4x4 trucks.
Hey.
And the part that was really fucked up, and I remember this hitting the news, was when the government started confiscating fuel.
Siphoning the gas.
Oh, yes.
And people started bringing in just jerry cans, and they started trying to arrest people bringing jerry cans to the protests. And the response was more people would show up with jerry cans, and a lot of them would be empty jerry cans. Some of them would be full jerry cans, and it was
some of them had tea, some of them had coffee, because they were feeding people too. I'm like, a jerry can's just a plastic container.
And it just became a fuck you. Which of us has fuel?
It turned into
Son of a bitch.
Larry Crown movie.
Yeah.
Is that what they call? Larry Crown?
It's the
guy with the bowler hat? That movie?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if it's
Thomas Crown. Thomas Crown Affair.
Yes, Thomas Crown.
Turned into Thomas Crown Affair, where he's walking around with a bowler cap on, and then suddenly 35, 40 other people are all walking around with bowler caps on. They couldn't figure out who was who.
Exactly.
Same idea. It's very brilliant.
They're also afraid of something else, and this is something that I've said for ages as a Canadian and as an Albertan. The one thing that Ontario really wouldn't like, and I'm not saying that this is somebody who doesn't have friends from Ontario, but as the politicians from Ontario, as I speak of, they do not want the West to become friendly with Quebec. And Quebec is in on that. Their leaders do not want us to become friends with Quebecois. And I'm saying this as a kid from Alberta to kids from Quebec. They don't want us to interact because they know we have a lot in common in terms of our personal beliefs. We don't talk to each other because we speak very differently. And there's a stubborn bone of like, why the fuck would I speak that? There's no point to it. And I'm an asshole when I say that, but it's the truth. You know, and they're the same way. Like, why would I speak your language? I'm perfectly fine with mine. But when you actually talk to us in terms of our political beliefs, we have a lot in common. I'm saying this as somebody who's maybe giving Quebec more credit than I should. There's enough Canadians to follow us. We're going to scream at me for it. Quebecois are not stupid. French people are not stupid. I will never assume that a French...
Let's not go too crazy and start giving too much credit.
I'm just saying the knife to the back hurts when you're not prepared for it.
They're very French. You can't be too generous.
No, you cannot. And I'm just saying, if you assume that they're dumb, they will stab you in the back. I'm just
Lay back.
Even if it fucks them over, if they know that they can do that to you, they will. I'm just saying. But that convoy event was very much a collaboration between Quebec and Alberta. And probably Saskatchewan, because there were a lot of Ukrainians there. Just saying that the Ukrainians aren't really keen on the communism stuff. They might be okay with us fighting their wars because, you know, Russia is still kind of scary sometimes. But there were a lot of Ukrainians there.
Also, I do have to just say, as to what you just brought up, anyone else missing Lend-Lease?
And what?
What?
Lend-Lease?
Lend-Lease.
When we actually did Lend-Lease rather than just, here, take this. Nah, we'll foot the bill. But when it was, oh, you're currently having problems? Okay, we'll provide you with this equipment now. This is your payback schedule. This is how you will pay us back. This is how you will meet what we just gave you. Because it worked for fucking World War II. We lend-leased to the UK. We lend-leased to the USSR, which is one thing that always pisses me off that people ignore. You see so many people saying, well, the USSR were the ones that really won the Second World War. Do you guys know how much shit we sent the USSR with Lend-Lease? The USSR would have collapsed without Lend-Lease.
Mm-hmm.
Not even questionable. We sent them munition. We sent them armor. We sent them a fuck ton of food. The Russian strategy of, well, fuck you, we'll pull back into Siberia, let's see how you fucking like the cold, only works if they have food saved up. And you might notice one thing about the history of the USSR leading up to World War II, and really after World War II as well. One thing that you can't really say about the USSR was that it had a lot of food stored up. They were kind of infamous for lacking food, not having an overabundance in granaries positioned throughout Siberia. The only reason why that tactic worked was the US went, oh yeah, you're drawing them in with the old school Russian tactic? Oh, fuck, you guys are about to starve? Here's food. This is your payment schedule. Here's more food. This is your payment schedule. And after the war, pretty much every group that we had Lend-Lease set up with paid us back. It ended up becoming a massive boon to the US. And it was also a massive boon to everyone. Everyone got the good end of the deal when it came to Lend-Lease. Because the countries that got Lend-Lease, they fucking survived in moments when they probably wouldn't have otherwise. And the US got paid for providing goods. Now we're just giving shit. Bring back Lend-Lease. Make it so, oh yeah, we'll help Ukraine. We're Lend-Leasing this. This is your payment schedule. Once everything is over, you get to delay your payments until everything is over. Once everything is over, this is the schedule that you'll pay us back on.
Well, that's kind of the thing that Russia, like a lot of places that really think that they can live in the world on their own without help from anybody, is Russia is one of those places where they can do fine for a really long time. And then like North America, the world just craps on their land because the planet shifts and they have bad luck in terms of weather, just like we do.
See,
you know?
The thing is that there's functionally 2 nations on Earth currently that could actually go, fuck everyone else, we're just going to do it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what 2 nations they are?
What's that?
India and probably you're thinking Russia, but No?
Entirely wrong. Not even the right hemisphere.
Okay. I only say India because my understanding is they can pretty much feed themselves. Whether they starve or not, it doesn't matter to the world sphere.
They have to get a lot of food brought in. There's 2 nations that are actually able to provide all of their food and damn near all of the natural resources that they need. And only 2 nations, as far as most people's figure.
And who's that?
Hammer, do you know which 2?
Oh.
Yeah, it's Botswana and the Congo.
No.
Did you say
I have no
Botswana
idea.
and the Congo? I was going to say Uganda because didn't they just come up against like a whole bunch of gold?
Both of those nations are currently represented on Minions tonight.
Wait.
America and Canada?
Yep, only 2 nations, as far as people can figure. Because when you look at the mineral reserves, fuel reserves, arable land, and all of that shit with the US and Canada, each nation has sufficient arable land to feed its entire population. Each nation has absolutely monstrous mineral and fuel reserves.
The key is
So-
arable.
Yes, arable land, which is where most other places fall. Because China and Russia, they're bigger than America.
Yeah.
But China has, I think it's 10 to 12% of its land is actually arable.
Yeah.
Russia, I think, is more in the 8 to 10.
And Australia is not high either.
Australia isn't high, but Australia benefits from its population being so ridiculously small, so it can actually feed itself with its amount of arable land. The problem that it has is it doesn't have the mineral reserves. So it would not be able to be completely self-sufficient. The US
They also have
and
a problem
Canada,
with the emus, because at
Yeah,
any
they
time, those motherfuckers
lost a war to large flightless birds. That doesn't really bode well for a nation.
Tell you
But-
what I told the Kiwis last week though. I told them that because they don't really have a proper attack bird, their only method of defense is to capture their birds and then hold them hostage.
Nice. But yeah, it's one of those things that when you look at the amount of arable land in the US and in Canada, it is absolutely monstrous how much arable land each has when compared to the average in the world. Good fucking God. We are completely lousy with arable land. To the point where, with the amount of land that we have available that can be farmed, and with the modern techniques that we have for farming, there's more trees now than there were 100 years ago. Because we have enough arable land and we have advanced enough farming technique that we don't need to use all of the arable land, so we just allow fucking forests to grow in random places.
Hey, real quick.
We also tend to replant more. Like,
Yep.
I'm not saying that people didn't replant trees back in the day, but it wasn't really for the same purpose.
Well, it depends on the time frame. In the Middle Ages, for instance, you had
Hold on, real quick.
very few old growth, and you had a lot of...
Sanguine, real quick. We are 28 minutes over the hour mark.
So we are. And I do need to head off to work here.
Oh, well, I was going to say, I don't mind chatting longer. Actually, I was going to bring up some other stuff, but I don't know. It's on you guys. Did you want to continue chatting, or how do you feel?
I have probably about 10 minutes, which I can stay on, and I'll be getting ready for work as I do that. In fact, as I'm speaking right now, I'm currently securing my leg weights for the evening.
Sanguine's in his underwear.
Uh-oh.
Take that mental image with you.
There you go.
What, you have a problem with giant dwarves and their skivvies? Just imagine Gimli in a pair of boxers.
I was betting on an hour and a half, so we're coming up on that now.
Yeah.
I got to keep the girlfriend happy.
I was just gonna bring up one. There was the dude who managed to make an engine that runs on water, who was killed at the Buffalo shooting. So that's weird. Look into that. The other thing is there's also another guy who is managed to construct a machine that can draw water from the air, and it doesn't really need purification, and he's put a bunch of them in well, not purification, that
It is being filtered. He mentions it in the video.
yeah. Oh, so you saw
It's
it?
Oh yeah, he makes moisture evaporators.
Yeah,
But
it's
his droid doesn't speak Bocce though.
oh, didn't he like send some to like Flint and Flint, Michigan?
He's got one in Flint, Michigan. He's got like 4 or 5 of them around the world.
Yeah, and that's a modern day. People were saying it's Star Wars, but I said, no, it's Dune. It's wind farmers.
Right. It's like you're right. It is that's a key component of the movie Dune, or the book. But people don't realize that the most pernicious and destructive I don't want to say gas compound that leads to the problems that we're having with the climate is not CO2, it's water vapor.
Water vapor.
Do some research into what causes the planet to heat, what's causing our planet to heat now,
So it's like
and really what it is the sun is baking the oceans and they're evaporating, and that water in the air causes a blanketing effect just like CO2 does. So pulling moisture out of the air, you're really fighting climate change doing that.
The only problem is when it comes to the method that is being used to pull the moisture out of the air, it collapses in a wide variety of different environmental conditions and only works in a very narrow band of environmental conditions. So if you have a humid environment and it is a humid environment between certain temperatures, it can be done somewhat easily. If you have an arid environment, it doesn't work. If you have pretty much doesn't work. If you have a environment that exceeds a certain temperature range, then it becomes massively inefficient because it's effectively based off of a Peltier dehumidifier.
Mm-hmm. Peltier cooler, yeah.
Yep, and Peltiers are, when they work in the conditions that they work in, they work really well. But there's a lot of conditions that they don't really work.
There used to be a time where computer CPUs were cooled with Peltier coolers, but if they failed, they melted your CPU. So
yeah, when they failed
spectacularly. Yes.
So it's cool tech. It's a cool application, but it's an application that you have to be careful about overselling its utility because it is a fairly narrow band of applications. Not to piss on your parade when it comes to that, just to...
Have you seen the video of it?
I'm not sure if I've seen the video of the one that you guys are referring to. There have been about 3 or 4 of them that have popped up in the past few years.
He looks like Sam Jackson. If you see the video, the guy who's created this technology, he's not really created; he recreated it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looks like Sam Jackson.
Okay. Yeah, I remember there's the one from a couple years ago that was MIT students thought they had come up with a way of providing potable water to all of Africa. And then physicists went, you do realize this device fails in these conditions, and the areas that you're saying this would provide potable water to are these conditions. So
yeah, this would never work in an area where the air is dry.
Yeah. But that's the reason why it would work in Michigan or a number of other areas, because Michigan, like Minnesota, and like most of the Midwest, is insanely humid.
Yeah.
Nah. Are you kidding me?
And it is at the proper temperature range for it to work as well. Because and that was another thing that was an issue with it. When you're looking at that, there's other methods that are more cost effective when it comes down to it. Like, think about the conditions that I just described. Somewhere that is really humid and within a warm but not too warm temperature range.
Yeah.
That's also an area that gets a fuck ton of rainwater.
It worked through most of England.
Yeah.
Oh,
Collect
yeah.
rain.
Oh yeah, dude. Out there.
That's a very low-tech, straightforward method of getting potable water. Collect rainwater. You can run it through a filter just to be on the safe side. And if you have it in the proper sorts of storage tanks, then you don't have to worry about any sort of issues with it.
Contamination. In California, you're not allowed to collect rainwater.
That's what I was just about to bring up. There's a lot of these areas where you aren't allowed to collect rainwater. So it makes it such that the most reliable way of getting water in those areas, like Flint, Michigan, it would be really easy to set up a shit ton of rain barrels.
Yeah,
and filters. But there tend to be a lot of different restrictions on where you can collect water, or rainwater, how much rainwater you can collect, how you have to process the drinking water. So if it doesn't meet all of these requirements, you aren't allowed to market it. You aren't allowed to provide it. And a lot of them don't really make sense, and some of them are actually the cause for the water issue, because the fucking state ignores those requirements. When it comes to the water purification standards, that was an issue that the state had. They didn't have the proper type of plumbing. They didn't have the proper sort of filters and procedures in place that they say have to be in place. They just fucking ignored. And that's what caused the Flint water issue.
I have to skedaddle, folks. So do you, Sanguine.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I was about to say, I'm going to be dipping as well. So I think Adam's probably going to go for parting words. If I'm not mistaken.
What? Right in... hold on. Right in time. Ah.
Yep.
I've been having issues with R and W for some reason in speaking. But, yes, we have come to the conclusion of our episode today. I hope everybody had a enjoyable time. I'm glad the three of you came out to join me. But did any of you have any parting words?
I'll let the other two go first.
Yeah, Jen.
What can I say? Other than heat sucks, I don't like it, and try to keep you guys and yourselves cool, and have a good evening.
That's good.
Yeah.
Hammer?
No matter where you go, there you are. My old tired line.
Don't you want to push Wednesday's show?
I could do some shilling if you want to do that.
I mean, I hear there's a pretty lady on the show, and also some Australian guy. I don't know.
Yeah, but nobody pays attention to him.
Oh, okay.
We have the wonderful JenTMaxi and Terry DeMantis on the Wednesday show, 9 o'clock every Wednesday.
Yeah, go check them out. And
Awesome.
I'll leave off with my standard of, if you're passionate about something, make sure that you devour it. Don't let it devour you. Also, if you like hearing me chat shit about random topics, and Adam normally chat shit about random topics, also tune in for the Friday show.
Yeah, Friday. Well, I think that's the end of it. Once again, I want to say Happy Father's Day to all those fathers out there. I hope everybody had a wonderful time watching the show. Hope we entertained you. It's been the Minions of the Zoo. For the panel and the audience, I love you all. God bless. The zoo is closed. And here we go. We're going to hit the...
Have a good night, all.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Minions of the Zoo was recorded on tape in front of a live studio audience.